Hello and welcome back to Operations with Void, and I'm sorry for all of those of you who saw the first iterations video where for some reason the audio didn't record. I'm not sure how that happened. Anyways, this week we are going to be focusing on the USS Essex because this is what was requested. Hopefully I actually recorded this faster than the previous video. That was really long. I did not know I had nearly 40 minutes video. Anyways, the Essex class carrier was one of the most widely produced carriers during World War II. Now, it was built because of the need for multiple carriers. It was built with less protection and more mass production. And so the armor layout, there's pretty much no armor for the Essex. The armor was not getting spotted. And so even the deck, you only have a 30 millimeters of armor. Whereas at the end of the World War II, the carriers that are built like the Midway class, you have an armored deck so that when planes do find you and bomb you, you're actually fine. You just shrug it off. But the Essex is back to the World War II style where it's not an armored deck. And I believe some of them just had, I don't know if this Essex is one of them, but a lot of the early war carriers just had wooden decks. So anyways, the aircraft are special on you. So the bombers that you see here, these were a prototype. If anybody has the FDR or has seen people play the FDR, you'll notice these are the same planes. These Sky Pirates were a prototype and designed to be used for the Navy and then were tossed away when jets became a thing. So, the F-8F Bearcat was an actual plane. It came after World War II. So, this was a Korea War era plane, though they used F-4U Corsairs and then too. The BTD destroyer, I believe, might have also been very end of World War II or early Korea War, might have been used a little bit, but this was at the age of when jets, so these didn't have a very long service life and were phased out for jets pretty quickly. But anyways, for the bombers, the Sky Pirates, and the Bearcats, which are equipped with tiny TIM rockets instead of your standard HVARs. They are one strike and done. So they reload instead of having planes on the deck. It's a reload timer, just like super ships. So you don't have to worry about running out of planes with those. So those you want to use kind of your main attack. However, the torpedo bombers actually can do quite a bit of damage too, since it's a large squadron. So if you use the entire squadron, you can get 2, maybe 3, but usually only 2 attacks off with the entire squadron. I generally go for double pre-drop to get 1 attack off. Okay, so that is about this ship. Now for the equipment. So we have Air Groups Modification 1, so that the return speed of your torpedo bombers is faster because you want them to get back to your ship fast as possible. Because the auxiliary module doesn't do anything. The other thing is you could actually go to Damage Control Mod 1 so that your damage control, instead of being 60 seconds, is 80 seconds. So make it silly long that you can't get fires. Aircraft engine modification, because it's really the only thing to grab here. For here, it's either going to be aerial torpedo speed up 5%, or in this case we got smoke. The secondaries, you have to start with 5 kilometers of secondaries. Your secondaries don't really do anything, no reason to get them. Your attack planes, these are the torpedo torpedo bomber attack time, there's no reason to get attack time for attack planes for either of these. So you get torpedo bomber health because these are the ones that you want to actually be able to survive to come back to the carrier, so you can use them again. The other two, doesn't matter if you get health. And damage control, minus 15%. That doesn't even take away 1 full second of your fire. And if you're getting set on fire, you're going to get set on fire again. So there's no reason for this. And here, most of the time for carriers, you do flight control modification so that you have 2 extra planes per squadron. But here, that only affects the torpedo bombers, whereas the minus 5% does affect all of them, but it's not enough really to make this one worth it. We're doing squadron consumables, as this adds an extra heal for your torpedo bombers and an extra smoke for your for the other planes, and it brings everybody up to 3 engine boosts instead of only 2, so that you can use them more often. And so with the smoke generator and the extra smoke, and then we have the smoke flag. The smoke actually goes for quite a while. And with a speed boost and a smoke, you can make a long screen of smoke, although the smoke only lasts for about a minute. So, okay, now for captain. So we have search and destroy for larger radius and patrol group leader for an additional fighter charge. This is to help with Hermes so that you have all the fighter planes for Hermes. We have air supremacy, so this reduces the preparation time for your torpedo bomber, well, all your planes, so that the planes that reload actually you get your full squadron 5% faster. We have improved engines so that your planes are faster a little bit. Improved engines and repair specialist, we can actually take these away and replace them with something else. So it can be pyrotechnician and an engine thing, or it can be replaced with the torpedo skills, either these 2 skills or the proximity fuse. That is up to the dealer's choice. We currently have them here for this video, and I will probably actually replace those eventually. And then you have your 3 survivability skills to try and make your planes as survivable as possible. Okay. So with that, let's head into battle. Now, the Essex class is, and here it's a support carrier. So, while normal carriers, your main thing is striking the enemy, the Essex, you're striking the enemy and supporting your allies at the same time. What this means is you really need to depend on your allies to do well. So in this case, we have a Yamato, a Libertad, a Schlieffen, Izmael, a Worcester, and a Smolensk. And these are the, we're going to hope that they actually do well. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take off with one of the planes. We're taking off with the rocket planes. It doesn't matter which, really. Just you need to go with one of the reloading planes so that they start reloading. You don't want to go with your torpedo bombers first. And so we're going to lay a smoke screen here first. So this is to try and keep the Smolensk from needing to use his own smoke for a little bit, so he can use our smoke, and this will also protect our allies for a little bit, so they're not being gunned down by the high DPM of the cruisers. I know they're all heavy cruisers, so they have low DPM for cruisers standards, but it's still cruiser DPM. So now we're going to go for the bombs so that they're reloading as well. And as you see, with a nice drop with rockets with Tiny Tims, that's 10k. They actually do really good against cruisers. They'll do a little damage against battleships. They do a little bit of damage against destroyers. The issue with destroyers is actually hitting. The issue with battleships is they have decent pen, but even these are 42 millimeters of pen. I'm not sure of all the things we're actually going to be able to pen on the rune, and the superstructure might be saturated too. So we drop this, and you notice it's very much a carpet bomb. And we got 6 hits, but that was only like, well, okay, 7k total. So the bombs is very much RNG. The rockets are a high skill, and then you have torpedoes. So I know I'm not going to get 2 launches out, so I'm pre-dropping twice to keep my 4 of the planes out of the way, out of harm's way. And we are going to drop on the hipper here and recalling them immediately. So they're in the flak as little as possible. And 2 torpedoes there, that was a nice 10k. So if you are able to get all the torpedoes onto a target that doesn't have torpedo protection, they can hit harder. They would actually be your hardest hitting weapon. But of course they don't reload completely like the rockets and the bombs do. And so that's why we're using the rockets and the bombs more. And so I was thinking about the Amagi, but then I'm like, oh, Elbing, we'll try for that. And here we don't actually... I'm thinking, oh, it's going slow, I'll aim here. But then it speeds up, and we miss. And we have a torpedo coming in. And now we're going with the bombers. Now I could smoke up my allies, but it doesn't really matter at this point in time because they shouldn't really be in detection range for each other yet. So this is why I don't bother with it. And also my allies are hiding in the green circle. And so this is the first... that's my first worry. When I see everybody in the green circle and nobody even trying to flank, I'm thinking that it's going to be a bad game. This is actually, I did 2 Newports in a row. One ended up in a defeat. This one ended up in a victory. Spoilers. And so the one that ended up in a defeat, I ended up having to smoke up the facilities at the end. And so seeing how all of my allies are grouping up behind me, like there's only the Smolensk in front of me, and they're in smoke. So seeing how they're all behind me, I actually decided I'm going to save my smoke as much as possible, just in case I need to smoke up the back and the forts again, not the forts, but the ground facilities, because I have a total of 6 minutes of smoke, and I want to use all 6 minutes, or well, now 5 minutes of smoke, or at least save 4, because I can. You need about 4 minutes of smoke for the to save the forts if you're the only one left alive. And this is because the op doesn't end when your allies arrive. The ops ends in victory screen once the timer runs to 0. So if your allies arrive and then everything is destroyed, it's still a loss. And so that is actually the case that happened in the game before this, is where the allies had arrived, but I wasn't smoking, and the secondaries took out the remaining port facilities. And so for carriers like this, one of the big things you need to do is cycle your planes. And so as you see, like the torps, we're doing more damage with the torps. So at 15k on the, we're smoking up the Smolensk here, because I know he's about to run out of smoke, and he's the only one in front of us, so we might as well try and keep him alive. We flubbed that a little bit, but still 5k with a fire. I don't mind that. And we're trying to get down into the smoke, because if you are actually in the smoke, see the AA sign turned off. If you're in the smoke, you don't take AA damage. And so that's a trick to hide away from AA, is to dive into the smoke. And so that one, the second one is a pre-drop for this area, so we're going to go after the rune now. And I should have hit the heal button there, but I didn't. Instead, we're just going to drop with the rune, and we're going to lose all those planes. Okay, one gets to come back. Nope. Nope, it died. At the very end. The very peak. And the half-health Smolensk. I actually turned around there to see what the... how many smokes he had left, and he only had one smoke left. Yeah, and so there is a mod that you can see. Ooh, that's another nice 10k. There is a mod that I use to check the consumables to see that how long until smoke's ready and how many of they have. And this helps me plan around what my allies are doing. I don't care what the enemy has for their consumables. I mean, I kind of do if I was playing. If I was playing randoms, I would care. But yeah. And this actually is a big mistake where I'm losing 6 planes. I just straight up am losing 6 planes. I should have pre-dropped, but I should have pre-dropped another one. But I was trying to get more planes out. And who was the one that was telling me to get back? It was a Stephen who was telling me to get back. I don't know why. Going back in time. Oh, there's another replay bug. Is going back in time. Yeah, I had some technical difficulties with the replay. And this is why I prefer to record my videos as is. And actually, the previous video where I had ended up was in the loss. Okay, there's everything has caught up. I had actually recorded it separately, and I do like to do that because I can adjust the volume for that. But at the same time, this allows me to go back and re-record. Actually, doing it, recording that is in the other way is better. And I was actually expecting another loss here, and this is why I didn't record this video as I was playing this one, like I did for the other one. So, Essex, as me playing an ops, I just played 2 ops, and it was a 50% win rate. The biggest thing is, as I mentioned at the beginning, is you have to rely on your enemies. Right? Allies. Yes, your allies are your enemies. In ops specifically, they really are, because they can hold you back. So I used minimap, and I'm doing autopilot. So I'm going here and then over here, while I'm attacking these cruisers facing after the aircraft carrier Des Moines. Now, we're going to have to wait a little bit for our bombers to get in. So, this is where we're just using our steering our ship, because we're already down. And as I said, big mistake with the torpedo bombers. So now I'm down to 3 instead of having more. If I didn't do the get greedy, I got greedy, and I lost 6 planes instead of possibly only losing 3 or 2. So we're going to go over here to this Wooster because I know he's going to need smoke here in a little bit. And we are going to start smoking him up with one of these smokes because he's actually doing work. He's in the front, he's doing work. And at the same time, we're also going to smoke up the Des Moines here so that to protect that star. So that was here we are doing support things in a support carrier. And the Wooster says thank you because he's very nice. And then we're going to bomb the Clausewitz and going to get only 3 pens because of its 50 plus millimeter armor on the deck armor. And now I'm moving over with my rocket plane. So I was expecting to attack the Piemonte or the Preußen, but then I noticed the Preußen's heading, and I know it's going to get very close to me, and they're going to start shooting my carrier. So I turn back and smoke up my carrier. So yes, if I had realized this, I would have just smoked up immediately as I went out. But at least I caught that before doing the strike because it would have been a while before I could use another smoke. And on that, I mean, that's another 15 seconds before we can use the smoke. There's a nice 6K against Piemonte. We're going to use torpedoes against the Piemonte because by going against this ship, nobody activates hydro, whereas if we were to use it against the Preußen would use hydro, and then our smoke would be rendered obsolete. Here I'm trying to fly away from AA, but I'm not able to get away fast enough. Can't save that last plane. Oh well. And I see the smoke's running out, so we are going to use our smoke. Now I turn away a little bit to try and stay out of AA. I should have actually just turned in all the way. That's another mistake I made. And now we are going to bomb the Preußen, hope for fires or something. There's a double fire, but not going to, well, they're not going to stick. Now we are turning, but we get out of the smoke a little bit. And so now I do the auto turn, so I don't have to worry about autopilot. Because autopilot does weird things. Unfortunately with rockets, we actually have to go out like that for a little bit because it takes a really long time for the rockets to be prepared to attack. Before you can even select you want to attack with them. There we go. We set a fire. And now we're out of smoke. But at a little over 6 kilometers, we should be going out of secondary range here shortly. And this also means that we can use our torpedo planes because we don't have to worry about being on hydro anymore. I'm going to go ahead and launch those. Smolensk is also setting torps at the Preußen, but the Preußen is turning in and slowing down, so those are going to miss. Whereas we get 1, 2, 3, and 4. So all 4 torpedoes hit, and that's actually a big chunk of damage. Nice, around 20k of damage. And then Smolensk sends their other torps in to these the Preußen. And it's at this point where, okay, everybody lived, and there's only 2 ships left. I'm like, okay, maybe I should have done a little bit some more support because, you know, they're actually alive and doing stuff and being good and, well, I guess not being good, but they're actually working and shooting at stuff. And now all that's left is just your mono. Do we get the kill? Do we get the kill? We get some bomb drops. We get a nice almost 6k off of him. And this is a win. So, other carriers can do a similar thing of, what? Rotating squadrons, but it's also on pre-dropping. Other carriers will all need to pre-drop except for Russian carriers, which you just shoot everything at once, so there's no pre-dropping. But this one has the benefit of you, even at the late game, you still have full squadrons. No other tier 10 carrier at this point in time would have full squadrons. Tier 11s, yes, but not tier 10s. And we didn't even get a single kill. And this is one thing I really don't like about wargaming is they go off the spreadsheet. They see carriers are focusing on doing damage and not going after kills. So what do? They reduce the XP you get from damage and increase the XP you get from kills. And that has nothing to do with why carriers are going for damage over kills. It's all about carrier. It takes forever for your flights and squadrons to get to the enemy. And so you want to go after something that has a good chunk of HP and not go after something that's almost dead and then whiff your shot or whiff your bombs because someone else took the kill from under you. And so that's the thought process of most carrier players. And so wargaming is just punishing carriers for actually trying to make the most of their ship. And yes, I can understand it's a bigger issue in randoms, but it's still an issue of wargaming looking at spreadsheets and not looking at how the ship is actually going to be played. And that actually puts us in the middle of the squadron. So the Schlieffen told us to get back is pretty far down. I mean, we all did. It's fairly decent with the Worcester who carried us. The Worcester, they got a compliment for carrying us. And so detailed, like we have fires, 9 fires, and they're actually pretty well split up between the different ships. So like the Rune here had a fire for 3k, the Mogi here had a fire for 9k. So the fires are pretty split up. And the floodings, I think probably only one ship got the okay, there's 800 there, 2000 there. So the floodings are also split up a little bit. And then also, as you see, our torps actually did about half of our damage. Because fires, with these two and fires, that actually is a little bit more than half. But the direct damage, not damage over time, the torps actually did a little bit more than half. And that's because an alpha of near 20k versus a much lower alpha and much more RNG. So the torpedoes, you can actually do more damage. And that's why they're such a precious resource that you want to keep alive as many as possible for as long as possible. And even with all that, and with gray boosters, and with premium, we still lost money. And so that's another reason why I don't really run these carriers, is because you're losing money. They don't earn that much money because you get more rewards for getting kills, and you're not getting that many kills in a carrier. So you're kind of losing money. And yeah. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you look forward to next week's video, and I hope to see you again then. Have a good one.